you can turn them on and off. Okay, so when you're setting up your book, you can set up column guides individually by spread, and you can do it for your entire book. I would suggest you do it for your entire book. Right now I had set it for one just to show you what it looks like, but you can actually, type in and you can say like 7 columns across the page, and the spacing between it, I want it to be like 0.6. Okay, and it actually puts grids across here. So if you wanted to line things up, you can do that. You can also set up a grid, and you can set your grid to be 1 pica grid, a half a pica, and a quarter pica grid. And so you can kind of zoom in here, you see like there's a little grid, so you can kind of get even spacing between things. Something that is helpful and also can be a little bit of a challenge are the snap twos. So you never want to have snap to grids, snap to columns, and snap to guides. Otherwise, it doesn't know where to go. Because if you have a grid close to a guide but they're not exactly the same, it's a little bit cumbersome. So you want to I usually suggest that you have one of the items on at a time, and then that you're trying to actually have things go up to. So while I'm on this page, I want to go over a little bit of the tools before I get into the meat and potatoes. But basically, you have your tools over here and your flyout menu over here. Okay? So in your as you go over everything, it tells you what it is. And I'm going to come here and open up this. When you're in the library, we have images, portraits, templates, pop-ins, art, and create and share. And when we're here, we have images, portraits, templates, pop-ins, art, and create and share. So seeing the similarity. So when you put something in one of these, it's going to show up over here. Okay? So one of the things that we do is we color correct every single one of your images for you, okay, individually. So you really do not need to know Photoshop. If you want to use Photoshop, that would be for special effects, but you do not need to color correct. So if you're taking pictures in the gym and they're very yellow, from the different types of lighting, we will fix that for you. So, and actually, if you work on fixing it and then you're doing it based on what your screen looks like, you may actually make it harder for us to get it back. Do you want to add anything to that, Jamie? I could feel you behind me.
We work well together.
Yes.
Well, so you haven't gotten there yet, but we'll get to the e-design. You can actually do corrections here too. FYI, if you do, as Mo said, what you see on the screen isn't necessarily what's in print, and it'll outline it in purple. So if you ever look through your library and you see one outline purple, that means you've done something and we know not to touch it. So we'll color correct everything that's not outlined in purple. I think we were talking about.
And that's when you're using our photo editing, right, as opposed to if you're using Photoshop. If you're using Photoshop, it's not going to be in the purple. But if you're a new advisor or someone who hasn't come back from the Adobe days of InDesign, you really don't necessarily need Photoshop. There are things we can do for you, the plant can do for you, or we have editing tools for you, or we're going to just flat out,
One exception also, if you're doing a cutout in, say, Photoshop, because that's something we all do a lot of, you want, is it a PNG, right?
Yep, right. I have it right up here on the screen.
Okay. Then it holds to transparency.
Yep. So, like for example, this little "you are here," so we saved as a PNG because that's going to give you a transparent background, so you can layer it. If you actually took your background out and still saved it as a JPEG, it's going to come in a white box. Okay. So if you're noticing that where you have something and you've cut it out and you still have a white box, it's because you didn't save it as a PNG. But remember, if you're saving it as a PNG, we will not color correct it for you. Okay. So you will need to have those color corrected. So again, talk to us. A lot of times those are graphics, and so it's not a big deal, except for if it's a cutout of a person. Now with portraits, I'm not going to go into portraits a lot because portraits you do once a year. Okay. And depending on who your photographer is, you're either going to get a link or a CD. Okay. And from that link or CD, if it's a link, you can literally forward it to techadvisor.com and they will upload it for you. Okay, so you do not need to do it. If you get a CD, you can mail it to the plant and they can upload it, or you can call tech support and they will walk you through the process. It is not hard. There's just about 4 steps to it. It's also in the help menu, but it's just a really easy step. So, and then templates, this is really cool because we have all sorts of pre-designed templates for you. And, but you can make your own, and you can take our pre-designed templates and change them in any way that you want. So, right now, this school, again, they're just at the beginning of the year, yours might look like this, where they're trying different things. So you can see these almost look all the same, but they're trying different little pieces. And if I hit the magnifying glass, you can kind of zoom in. So, they're seeing what it might look like, just by moving one thing, and they're trying different pictures, they're changing their sidebar, But once, and they're actually putting pictures in to see, here you can see how they're making their picture, or their copy box is going to be different. And then once you've finalized your templates, what I suggest is you actually drag them on a page, take the pictures out, resave it, and then get rid of all of these, delete out all of the ones that you're not going to use. So you're down to just the templates that you're using. So as you click, then it becomes active. And the reason is we don't want all those things dumped in there, because if we have everything available right off the bat, guess what your students will do? They will use all of it, no matter what. They do not know how to self-edit. We do the same thing with fonts and colors too. So for example, you have tons and tons of fonts. So right now I just went to book setup here at the top, and here are all the fonts that are available, okay? And if you want them active in your book, you're going to check them. But if you want to be very specific about what you have in your book, you're only going to mark the fonts that you want the kids to actually see. So you can see this book, they've already limited to quite a, just a few little fonts. You can do that also with colors. So if you have a certain color palette, and again, when we were talking about color correcting your pictures in your book, it's really important not to pick colors. So say you want to, they had blue boxes behind. You do not want to be picking colors off your screen, because if you've ever looked in a computer lab and you've looked down and every screen looked different in the whole row, very few schools color calibrate their monitors, meaning they make it be true color. Jamie has one school that has calibrating software, and how often do they calibrate their monitors?
A week, but they control the lighting in the room, the window shades. I mean, it's very.
They have boxed in. I mean, they are all about, they do want to color correct all their own pictures. So you get a poster in your kit. Quite a few of us have what we call Pantone charts that we carry around with us that pick exact colors. A lot of times when you're picking out your cover of your book, but you want to definitely pick them from something that is printed, and also you want to, if you're say your color's blue, you want to pick a light blue and a dark blue. You don't want to necessarily just transparent a blue or change the percentage of a blue, because certain colors will turn and look correct on your screen because they're RGB on your screen, but we print CMYK. That's why Jamie talked about these letters ahead of time, and there's your color poster. It's so, you can see, if you want a light green to a dark green, pick them, because if you just start changing the percentage, it's going to look correct on your screen. That is not necessarily how it's going to print. And the colors, purples and blues go purpley blue, Oranges are never as vibrant as you think they're going to be. That you can make them look very fluorescent. Fluorescent colors do not print in cyan, magenta, yellow, black. So if you truly wanted a neon green, we actually have to mix a green ink, and they have to put a green ink on. And those are additional, because that's actually a fifth applied color on your pages. So when you're picking these colors, every color that's already in here is on the poster. If you're saying I don't quite have the blue that I want, you're going to go add, and then you're actually putting the CMYK numbers that you're pulling off of a Pantone chart. So for character styles, this is a really cool tool that not all of our schools use. So say you want the captions in your book to all be 8-point Helvetica. You can actually set it that exactly here. So you're not, I mean, you can put a poster up in your room, but you can also set all of these to be exactly right. So like they have, they're doing a Humans of New York, they're doing a Humans of New Trier. So like they want their club copy to be that, they want their headline to be this. So they've already specified, they're doing a little snap thing. So they're specifying every single one here, and then when we're on the page, I'll show you where you get to this information. So you can add them and edit them here. The book style one, this is going to be more for the middle schools, where say you design a cover and you picked one of our pre-designed covers. All of our pre-designed covers have matching insides with graphics, and then from this one place you can apply the entire book style of that cover directly there.
All right, you're going to repeat after me. So everybody stand and repeat or say I do when requested. Are we ready? Wake up, guys. I state your name. Smart Alex. Here do solemnly swear.
Here do solemnly swear.
To put aside all personal agendas.
To put aside all personal agendas.
In order to form a unified team.
In order to form a unified team.
Focusing on what is best for our publication this year.
Focusing on what is best for our publication this year.
And then I make them put their hand up. I promise.
I promise.
To meet all deadlines.
To meet all deadlines.
In sickness and in health.
In sickness and in health.
And will accept responsibility for my assignments.
And will accept responsibilities for my assignments.
And not blame others if something goes wrong.
And not blame others if something goes wrong.
I promise.
I promise.
To follow guidelines of good journalism.
To follow guidelines of good journalism.
In the areas of ethics.
The areas of ethics.
Photography.
Photography.
Writing.
Writing.
And design.
And design.
This is the big one. You guys don't have to say this exactly, but this is what you want your kids to say to you. I promise.
I promise.
To love and obey my advisor.
To love and obey my advisor.
And to meet, and most of all,
And most of all,
I promise to remember
I promise to remember
that this year is about the journey,
that this year is about the journey,
not the destination.
not the destination.
Turn to your fellow staff member and slip the ring on his or her finger. You guys might want to trade back. All right.
I don't really know.
By the power vested in me by the Herff Jones 2016 Advisor Retreat, I now pronounce your staff husbands and wives. You may now high-five your new staff spouses, no kissing. And you must realize that what you did is only legal in Utah. Speed dating time. Go find two people you do not know and ask them the 5 questions. Where are they from? How long they've been teaching yearbook? Whether they're a class or club, and what their biggest challenge is.